Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I'm mad that I wasn't a part of the conversation when it happened. Now I feel behind, but I am glad that we now get to do this episode talking about it. And for ladies and gentlemen, this will have spoilers in it because we're talking about it.
Yeah, we did our spoiler-free talk last episode. Now that we've both seen it, I want to dive into it a little bit.
Bro, I went there, I started watching, and I was like, I feel like I should take notes. I feel like this is so great. I need to take notes so I can try and relive these memories. Like I want to relive witnessing these moments again over and over and over again. That's how good it is. Like Kayla's mad at me because I went and saw it without her, but I'm like, no, honey, I'll see that again and again if I have to. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph. I am one half of this podcast, the lesser of two evils, as I sit beside the darkness itself. Cody Murphy, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing great, brother. I feel great. Got a good night's sleep finally for once in a blue moon, and feeling well. What about yourself?
Doing good. I'm doing good. As you know now, saw Dune today, but that's a teaser.
Finally.
Later on, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just set it now. We're going to talk about this movie because it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I'll say that, but then you can relive that as many times as you like, but that first time seeing it, absolutely incredible. But the biggest news, as we always do, we're starting NFL, we're starting sports, and there has been so much commotion in the last couple of days with franchise tags and free agency starting, people moving, trades happening, and it's been madness, dude. More has happened in the last 2 days than any sport I can think of combined the last 5 years.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes. It's just like a domino effect. The first guy goes, and then boom, 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 boom. Yep. Which most of these deals have probably already been worked out. They just had to wait to announce them publicly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's been a lot of movement. You sent me that free agent tracker, which is awesome because there were so many moves. Going on,
and there's still so many guys yet to sign. When you scroll down, it's like guys that are available, which is a ways down there. Tannehill's still available. Bakhtiari, Jamal Adams, J.C. Jackson, Emmanuel Ogbah, Allen Robinson, Justin Simmons, Odell, Buda Baker, DJ Reader, Adoree Jackson. Like this list goes on and on and on and on. It's Chase Young. Like it's gonna be. We're only getting started.
Right.
We're only getting started. And there's a lot of big names that have moved.
Well, let's just get the elephant out of the room. Let's talk Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. I know, we'll talk Kirk Cousins and then we'll do Saquon since that's our two teams. We had talked about the possibility of this happening, and I really thought that we were going to go after Fields, but we ended up signing Kirk Cousins, and it's, I don't love it, but also I believe in Kirk. I think Kirk is a very good quarterback, and I've had a night to sleep on it and kind of think about it and reflect. And, I hope the best for him. Obviously that's my team, and I love Kirk Cousins just as a person. Watching that Netflix series and actually getting to know him as a human being. Like nobody deserves it more than him. Yeah. He got paid $100 million guaranteed, 180, with incentives, and over 4 years. And so he's got some playmakers now, and we've got a quarterback that can run the offense, that can not just run the offense, but command the offense.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this offseason and going into the next season. I think we have a chance to win the division, honestly. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
besides Tampa Bay, I don't really fear anybody else out there.
Yeah.
We saw New Orleans; they looked like crap offensively. I mean, they can't score the ball or they can't score touchdowns. Even when they get in the red zone, and then the Panthers are an absolute dumpster fire right now. And yeah, and then like I said, Tampa Bay bringing back Mike Evans and Baker, that's huge for them. So I feel like that's going to be our biggest competition in that division. But things are looking up for finally for once in a while for Atlanta. So
I think the biggest issue was Ritter. Ritter's turnovers killed you guys all last season, and Kirk doesn't turn the ball over.
Right,
so
he
I think
takes
you guys
care
are
of the
good.
ball.
Yeah,
he takes care of the ball. He makes good decisions, and he like I said, he's able to facilitate. And he puts up big numbers, man. Like if you look at his passing numbers, my only concern is that his record against teams above 500 or not, it's not great.
Yeah.
But like I said, that division that we play in, we're not going to be, facing a lot of teams above 500.
Yeah.
So hopefully it works out. We're all rooting for Kirk. I think we all want success for Kirk, and I think it's like I said, it's exciting for finally for Atlanta Falcons fans. For once, we have something to be excited about. Now, Saquon to the Eagles after DeAndre Swift signs with the Bears. It was what did he sign for? Like $37.75 million.
Yeah. Plus, there's some
go up to
45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge pickup.
Huge.
You guys are loaded now. You guys are fucking loaded. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley.
And they just grabbed TJ Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, from
Detroit.
New
they
Orleans?
Got him back.
Oh, from Detroit. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's a huge pickup too. Philly's looking good. I mean, I still have my nerves about the direction, but I feel like if anybody can rally this team, it's going to be a guy with leadership skills like Jalen Hurts. And I think Saquon, being a Pennsylvania guy from Penn State, going back home to Philly, like this is going to be one of them years, like must-watch TV type shit. You know what I'm saying? They're about to run some. I think the offense is going to run through Saquon this year. And I think it's kind of like the Eagles football that we wanted all year. We wanted it to run through Swift, and we're going to get it finally. And I honestly didn't think we were going to get Saquon until I saw Swift sign with the Bears. And I was like, oh, we're not paying D Swift after he put up a career year. We're going in on somebody.
And Saquon finally feel like he kind of has got the monkey off his back, get a fresh start, a new, fresh scenery, and he's the bell cow back now. You still have Gainwell, and I don't know. Do y'all retain Boston Scott?
I know that we threw him an offer, but I seen that the Giants were interested in him, which is funny because if you only watch as a Giants fan when the Eagles play against the Giants, Boston Scott probably looks like a world record.
Yeah, but no, I think Saquon's set to have a career year. I think this is probably going to be his best year, just because he's got so much talent surrounding him now, and he's got a team that has had success and knows how to build on success. And it's going to be an exciting year for Philly as well.
Yeah, a lot of moves were made. I'm trying to look at who had the most destinations so far, and it looks like
go ahead.
Washington. I mean, they've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 signings. Dorrance Armstrong. Well, some of these I don't really know, but they got Eckler, which I think he's regressing. They took Mariota back up. Sleeland Farrell, which he was a good in for San Fran. Brandon McManus, good kicker. Dante Fowler, he's another, decent name. And I think that's about it. Tennessee got a couple good names. They got Kenneth Murray, Tony Pollard, and Awuzie from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I saw that.
I know Carolina had picked up.
I think the Steelers so far have really been the ones that have made the most impact signings because, you sign Russell Wilson, who has had a couple down years in Denver, but, he's a Hall of Fame caliber. I don't care when anybody says, you look at his numbers. He's been consistent throughout the years. I mean, like I said, the last couple years have not been great, but it just wasn't a good situation in Denver either.
Yeah.
I think that coming into Pittsburgh, he now has a running attack with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, where he's able to kind of take the pressure off. And if you look at it, whenever he was in Seattle, he had Marshawn Lynch, who was able to kind of relieve some of the pressure and not have to force him to make big play after big play after big play because there was a consistent running attack.
Yeah.
And then you look at some of the signings they've had on the other side of the ball defensively. They got Patrick Queen from Baltimore, which is he's one of the best linebackers in the league. That's huge.
Yeah.
Who else did they sign? They signed another. I feel like they signed another.
I'm only seeing 3, and the other one is Cameron Johnston, the punter.
Okay, well, I mean, still 2 splash moves that are in a division that's very tough.
Yeah, I was talking to Trey and Brady and Seth earlier, and it's like the potential for that division is every team could win 10 games.
Right, and
Cleveland,
they almost did this past year.
Yeah,
that was one of the more competitive divisions in football. So
yeah,
it's going to be hard for them to keep up if they don't sign some players in the offseason. The Bengals, I feel like they're kind of in trouble right now. Yeah. That's one team that I'm kind of concerned about with. They put the franchise tag on T. Higgins. And now he has requested a trade. They end up releasing Joe Mixon. But they signed Zach Moss from the Texans. So they've made a couple moves, but it's going to be tough to replace the production of not just Mixon, but they're also losing DJ Reader as well.
Yeah.
So
Reader's still out there. I'm hoping that,
and they lost
for the
Awuzie.
sake. Yep, they lost Awuzie. Cincinnati, I know that they picked up Geno Stone. That was a big one. He was a big safety target. Mike Gesicki, the tight end. He's a good pass catching guy. That'll be another weapon. Zach Moss, he's a good back, but losing Mixon, which I saw some numbers and compared to like expected yards versus above expected yards, which is the advanced metrics, but comparatively, Joe Mixon is worse because it was saying Joe Mixon gets exactly what he's expected and nothing more. Zach Moss was like well over. He was like the 4th or 5th running back over expected yards. So I think they wanted to shave some money.
Yeah.
And pull in a younger back. And they still have Chase Brown, too, who they just drafted last year.
Exactly.
Who's a good little back. And anything's possible with Joe Burrow. I think another big one, too, will be what the Ravens did, grabbing Derrick Henry. I mean, that's
on paper, that seems like a great signing, and it might turn out to be great. But to me, the Ravens don't run they don't have the run scheme that Derrick Henry excels in. You know what I mean? Yeah. In Tennessee, he was a downhill runner, one cut up the field. He was able to get momentum. And in Baltimore, it seems like it's more like a misdirection type scheme.
Yeah.
They run a lot of read option with obviously having Lamar and, Gus Edwards and the other backs they have there. But, that's a good move for a team that's primarily run offense. I think Henry will be an addition. I don't know. Like I
Yeah.
said, I don't know how well it's going to work out, but they'll
Yeah.
find a way to make it.
I think he's going to play more of a split back. It's like a thunder and lightning kind of scenario. Right. They still have what's his name? Keaton Mitchell, who is electric. And then if we see a return from Gus Edwards, that's another running back by committee. I don't know what we'll see from him, but still, I mean, there's just been so many moves. I keep hearing rumblings too, and this might just be media skepticism, but that Cincinnati is making a play at Justin Jefferson.
Well, I mean, it's going to be hard because they still have to pay Jamar. But, I mean, that wide receiving core, I mean, if they were able to put a package together to send T. Higgins to Minnesota and get Jefferson, they're going to give up a lot, but they're going to get.
What do you think that costs?
At least T. Higgins in the first round, maybe second round.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big ask.
Cincinnati, do you let go of T. Higgins, the first rounder this year, and the first rounder next year?
I don't know, man. That's very hard to trade 2 first round picks. I think you give
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Plus his boy.
But he's also had some health issues, Yeah,
and true.
Cincinnati has struggled in keeping players healthy.
Yeah.
Namely Joe Burrow. But
yeah, that's tough.
I mean, adding Justin Jefferson to your offense is never going to hurt, but it's got to be for the right price.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, kind of after Cousins left Minnesota, they're kind of in a rebuilding type of situation where they're trying to find the next quarterback. They're trying to kind of retool for the future. I don't know that they're going to be very good next year.
Yeah. I've seen another thing that's midway sports related, and it's also political related. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say.
New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers is on Robert Kennedy Jr.'s short list to be his running mate on an independent presidential ticket in November. The New York Times reported Tuesday. You think that's more for the media or that he actually would want Aaron Rodgers on
To me, it seems like more of a publicity stunt. Try to get some headlines out there. Because to me, Aaron Rodgers still wants to play football. And I don't want, if I'm a New York Jets fan, I don't want a quarterback who's trying to run for president, vice president. And if I'm an American voter, I don't want a vice president who is also trying to play football, So it's like you got to choose a path here. And I think Rodgers, especially after everything that happened last year, feel like he wants to at least give it one more go and see what he's got left in the tank. If it's not a good year, I think he retires after this year, and maybe he runs on the next ticket.
Yeah.
But it just seems like more of a media narrative than anything.
Yeah.
Actual.
Do you have to be 45 to run as vice president?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the rules there.
I don't know either. Now, another question is too, could he still play football and be on the ticket?
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know the specifics of it.
To that.
So that kind of makes me think that they are just trying to drum up some media attention.
Just get RFK's name kind of circulating. I think it's good. I mean, it's hard, trying to get yourself into the mix with them too. But I know we're not going political today. That's not our podcast. I just seen that headline from Schefter, and I was like, Lord. There's been a lot of moves. Schefter's been tweeting a lot of guys' notifications on. I got pretty much everybody's notifications on. Just trying to stay in the loop so I knew what I was talking about today. Just so much going on. But I think obviously the splash moves are Kirk Cousins and what to expect from that. How does this affect Justin Fields? Where does he fall now? Like, this makes everything. He's got to stay in Chicago, right?
To
Justin Fields.
me, yes, the fact that Cousins to Atlanta kind of confirmed, and then they signed DeAndre Swift, the Bears did. That kind of confirms that they're sticking with Justin Fields and they're going to try to put a package together for that number one pick, whether that's trading it to Washington or New England or whoever can put the best package deal for that's mutually beneficial for both sides. I think that with everything that's going on about Caleb Williams and kind of his star kind of falling in the last couple of weeks, the whole thing with the combine and all that, I think it's kind of deterred Chicago away from him, and so now they're sticking with. And this is just my gut feeling. I don't know for sure anything, but it just seems like they're going to stick with Fields and they're going to try to build around him because they're bringing Eberflus back. They've got DJ Moore, they've got DeAndre Swift now. They're trying to rebuild the defense, and so to me, I think next year we will see Justin Fields in the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. I think if anything, too, if you're Chicago, go get Marv, grab that for sure weapon. And if Fields, this is his 5th year. If Fields doesn't work out, let him walk and do exactly what, these other teams did. Wait for the quarterback to fall out and go sign somebody. Pay the money. You have the cap room. You've got the availability. But why take a chance on the rookie quarterback and be in the same position potentially for the next 3-4 years all over again?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of their philosophy on it now is just, we've got somebody with experience. Let's try to develop his game a little bit further and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Because with Cousins leaving the division, obviously you still got Detroit, who's going to be, I feel like they're going to be even better than they were this past year. So yeah, you got to do everything you can to stay competitive.
Yeah, and Green Bay just got a lot better too.
Yeah, Green Bay signed Josh Jacobs. So another huge signing, running back signing. Jordan Love, I feel like he's just going to get better. He's just going to continue to get better.
They got Xavier McKinney from the Giants. That's a huge pickup.
Yeah, so I think
Packers will be good. Raiders look good. They grabbed what's his name from the Dolphins, Wilkins. So that's a huge pickup for them.
Signed Minshew
mania, baby. I can see Vegas making a play where they trade something, make a trade package. It's gonna be. There's so much madness left to come, and we're only just getting started. We're 2 days in. There's been 50-some signings already, and we haven't even made it to the draft yet. And I think that's gonna be. And I'm sure people who listen are probably like, "Well, you're not going into very much detail on these free agency signings." It's like we still have so much to fall into place. These guys could sign with this team and be moved in a trade package for this draft pick. You know what I'm saying? I could see that's what Washington's doing. That's why they just signing guys. They're just signing names.
Yeah. They also have the most cap space, I think, of any team. Yeah. So I feel like they're definitely going to draft a quarterback, though. They have to. Oh,
they're taking somebody. I don't know who they're taking, but I don't know. I pray for whoever goes there.
I almost feel like they trade up for that number one spot.
Yeah, there's something about to happen, and I'm gonna be excited for it whenever it comes. I think we're gonna go more. I'd like to go more in depth with the draft coverage once that time comes, because then we can really look at anticipation, rosters once the draft happens, and then kind of evaluate from there. For now, we still have so much left to settle. But like I said, the big moves: Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Saquon Barkley, and the few that have fallen in between: Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, the running Derrick Henry, Xavier McKinney. Those are the big names so far. And if you guys are just now getting this information from us, I'll let you know that you are behind the game, but we're coming to you as early as we can get it.
Yeah.
Lord, I miss the NFL.
It's crazy because you open up Twitter and it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Oh my God!
Signing after signing after signing.
Yeah,
it's very. If you're an NFL fan, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Somebody said it looks like a Madden franchise offseason.
Everybody moves. Which that's another thing I want to mention for people. If you're we're trying to put together a Madden online franchise. It would be awesome to do a fantasy draft and just kind of assemble a team per person, 10, 12, 15 people, something like that, and kind of make something unique of our own where we can all connect a little bit more. And everybody loves Madden until they hate it. We're not going to do simulation, as Cody Murphy well described last night. It is absolutely god awful and takes the skill out of the game. I didn't know, truthfully, that there was any other way to play.
Yeah, I mean, online play is competitive, and it's basically, I mean, yeah, it takes into account the player ratings, but it also has a lot to do with your stick skills, like timing and like just your overall knowledge of the mechanics of Madden. So, yeah, I'm just now getting back into it. I took probably a 4 or 5 year break from Madden just because the game had gotten stale for me, and I just got bored with it. And then Call of Duty came out, or Warzone came out, and I got more into that. But I'm slowly making my way back into it. I've been playing Madden a lot more last probably week and a half. But yeah, we'd definitely like to get some people together and do a fantasy draft, and then probably play 2 or 3 games. If you're interested, I know I put a feeler post out last week. I'm still trying to get some confirmation from a few other people, and then once I get enough where I'm comfortable actually starting the league, we'll get people in Discord and we'll start discussing the specifics of it all. But yeah, if you're interested, hit me or JD up and let us know, because definitely, I think we've probably got about 8 people right now.
Yeah,
sure. Like you said, I'd like to get at least 10 to 12, maybe 15 at the most.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to do that.
If you've never done it before, it's really fun, actually.
Yeah.
Even if you're not any good, this is not like going to be a high competition league where none of us are professionals. Like I said, I'm just now getting back into it.
I'm not even good.
That's what I'm saying. We're just doing it for fun, to have a good time, and for people to be able to interact with each other. So definitely hit us up if you're interested. One last thing I do want to talk about, UK Wildcats.
I was about to ask. I just looked them up.
Man, that game Saturday against Tennessee, that was a barn burner. We were up 14, 11 points there, with like a minute and a half to go. And nothing's ever easy with this team. It seems like we can never have just a comfortable lead and just keep it. I think we turned the ball over 3 times in the last 45 seconds, and Tennessee was able to hit a couple threes and bring it within 3. But, thank the Lord, Rob Dillingham was sent to the line. He missed the front end, but he hit the second one, and that pretty much sealed it. Gave us a 85-81 victory at Tennessee on the road against a very good Tennessee team. Shout out to Dalton Connect, one of the best players in the nation. I mean, absolutely was just raining threes the whole game. I think he had 38 or 40. I can't remember, but it was just it was a barrage of just nothing but 3 after 3 after 3 from him.
Yeah, 40 points. He had 40 points, 14 to 29 shooting.
And I mean, it wasn't just, he hit a lot of threes, but he also got to the rim very well. That was the first time I'd seen him play all year, and I was impressed because he was eating the Cats defense alive.
Yeah.
But
he looks like he's the bulk of their team, though. He took more shots than anybody.
Their offense runs through him for sure. I will say, man, Kentucky, this is a special Kentucky team. We have so much talent this year, it's not even fucking funny. I mean, from Reed Shepherd, Rod Dillingham, who would start in any other team in America. They don't even start, to, Justin Edwards, who's came alive in the last, half of the season. You got Trey Mitchell, DJ Wagner, Uga Onyaso. You got Bradshaw coming off the bench. Big Z coming off the bench. I mean, we have the depth to make a serious tournament run here. And I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but I think that this is a team we're going to be talking about for years to come.
What do you I know that everybody wants a national championship, but what will you call this season a success at?
It remains the same, man. At the very least, Elite Eight, Final Four, national championship. Anything other than that, it's a disappointing year, just because of the sheer talent we have.
Yeah.
And it seems like the team is finally starting to gel. We're hitting our stride at the very right moment when we need to be. Now, we'll see what happens in the SEC tournament, and we'll see what happens on Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
But I feel like we'll get a pretty good draw, and we'll have at least a path for victory.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it's there, and we have the team to do it. We just have to execute. We have to clean up turnovers. We cannot turn the ball over 16 times.
Yeah.
And that's how many times we turned it over against Tennessee. Still pulled out the win, but got very lucky.
God, I love that everybody's kind of coming on to Reed Shepherd really strong now, and he's like the number one player. And it's like, Reed Shepherd, I'm sorry, bro. I was not familiar with your game, but definitely got it, bro.
Oh, he's a beast, man. He is an absolute beast. And yeah, I mean, he makes some knucklehead plays here and there, but he's a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to expect that out of a freshman, a true freshman. Yeah. But he comes up clutch whenever we need him to, and he is far and away the best overall player, the best well-rounded overall player we have. I've said that from day one, just from the first time I saw him play. I said he is the best overall player we have. That doesn't mean he's the most talented. That doesn't mean he's the best shooter. Doesn't mean he's the best defensively. But his basketball IQ is what sets him apart from these other guys. And I mean, he's a legacy recruit. His mom played at UK. His dad played at UK. He's been around the game his entire life. So he's just a natural ball player. You can just tell by the way he moves on the court, So shout out to Reed Shepherd. Big surprise, for us because we had so many other highly touted recruits coming in. And he has definitely rose to the top of that conversation.
The cream of the crop. When does tournament play start? What is it, Friday?
Kentucky plays Friday. We're still, I think we got a first round bye.
Nice. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. Hopefully you guys make a run. If you make it to the end, you probably see in Tennessee again.
Yeah. That's what me and my uncle were talking about again, the Tennessee game. He said, this feels like a championship game right here. And I was like, yeah, I agree. I mean, both these teams are championship caliber teams for sure.
Yeah. That'll be awesome to see you guys. I think hopefully the tournament people split y'all up on opposite sides.
Yeah. I think we will. I think they will. I mean, they usually do a good job of spreading the teams out, the good teams out, and that's why March Madness. That's why it's called March Madness, because they do such a great job of putting teams on opposite sides of each other, kind of setting them on a crash course. So
Lord,
it's gonna be a fun tournament.
Excited. I'm excited for March Madness. It's, as always, same quota for me. That's when I start tuning in. Tournament bracket time. I think everybody in the world kind of tunes in then, but it's getting exciting. We got conference tournaments coming up. I think Ohio State needs to win at least 2 games in the Big Ten tournament to make it into the dance, and then from there it's anybody's ball game. I still like the trapezoid, so I'm gonna keep putting people onto that. But
did you see the fight between? Well, I say fight, but it was like a scuffle between the women's South Carolina team and LSU.
Yeah,
you see that?
Bodied that chick. Yeah,
that was that game. I mean, you could see it coming because the whole game they were mouthing at each other and chipping back and forth, and you could just tell something was going to pop off eventually, and it finally did at the end. And what's her name, Cordoso, now is suspended for the first round of the NCAA tournament, which is huge because she's one of their best players.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I made a post about it, and I said, in that situation, you got to be smarter. You can't just go up there and clothesline somebody. But at the end of the day, she was having her teammates back, and you got to respect that no matter what. Like, you don't come after one of my teammates, and that's just the way I always thought. Whenever I played sports, it's like, you come for one of us, you come for all of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I respect that.
Because then it makes your team dynamic lesser if you just stand there and let that happen. You know what I'm saying? Now that teammate feels like they can't trust you, and then on the floor there's question marks, and it's just like, for the greater good and for the greater of your team, you gotta stand up and do something about it. Because if you let that shit happen, who knows the next time it happens if that teammate, it's just like, fuck off.
Right.
Literally, just
you gotta have each other's backs, man. That's a big part of it. So
yeah. I know this is the last thing I want to talk about sports, and then we'll move on to the Dune talk. The fight that happened.
Who?
UFC.
Oh,
what was the number?
299.
299.
Of course, I only caught the last two, which was the Dustin Poirier fight and the Sean O'Malley fight.
Yeah.
Both of those fights were really good. Poirier, I mean, he dominated. I think it was a second round knockout, and he kept going for the guillotine. And his corner, in between rounds, his corner told him, said, "Do not go for the guillotine." And the first thing he does, is he hits the dude, kind of hurts him, knocks him to his knee, and then he tries for a guillotine. And it's like, man, did you not just hear your fucking coaches tell you not to do that? But it worked out in the end. He was able to get the knockout. Man, Poirier, he's always exciting to watch. Like, no matter what, he's one of the best fighters. He's one of the best UFC fighters in the last decade for sure.
Yeah.
And then you had the Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera, which was a very good fight. And, Sean O'Malley dominated. He won 5 rounds. I mean, there's no question about it. He won every single round. But props to Chito Vera for sticking in there. I don't know if you saw the knee that he took.
Oh, my God. Did you see the MRI on his skull?
No, I'm sure it's fucking caved.
His skull is fractured and indented in from that knee, bro.
That's something that, he'll be feeling that for the rest of his life. But they showed it in slow motion, and then they showed it in real time, and they let the real time audio.
Oh my God, the sound!
Oh my! It sounded like somebody, like a tennis ball, like somebody took an aluminum bat and just whacked a tennis ball.
Oh,
and it's like, God, dude, any other man is going down after that. But he stayed on his feet. He absorbed the damage, and he put up a heck of a fight. Even though he wasn't able to win even a single round, it was the definition of going out on your shield. Like I'm just gonna take the ass whooping, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to try to win. But
Chito Vera never been knocked down in his career.
Never been knocked down. That's a fucking huge accomplishment.
Crazy, bro.
Considering the people that he's fought in his career, never been knocked down. So, props to him. Props to Sean O'Malley. He showed his skill. He's one of the best strikers in the UFC. I mean, it's an absolute. They kept using the word sniper, and I think that's a perfect way to describe his style, because he stands on the outside and he's just able to land, from the outside and avoid taking damage. So I don't know who he's going to fight next, but I'm excited to see who's going to challenge him for the belt.
Yeah, I'd like to see him take on a big name and have a big fight. I seen that he was trying to go overseas to, where was it, Italy, or do it in the Las Vegas Sphere.
Yeah,
which I think inside the Sphere would be sick, bro. I would love to be at that event. Someday I'll go to a UFC main event and watch it live.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
On my bucket list.
Something that I would definitely be very considerate of going to. I can't imagine what the ticket cost would be to watch it at the Sphere. I don't even want to think about it.
You'd have to donate a kidney or something.
Yeah, I'm not in the tax bracket for that. But that's enough sports talk. We digress because the thing I've been itching to talk about. I waited too long to watch it. Now I feel like an imbecile. But what I did today, Cody Murphy, is probably wrong. And if my employer finds out about what I did today, I'm probably getting fired. What I did today was I drove to work and I tried to pirate Dune 2 on my work computer. All right. I found a site. I started watching. I said, no, this ain't it. Here's what I'll do instead. I'll stay on the clock and I'll go to the movie theater down the road and I'll watch it and I'll kill 3 fucking hours watching the greatest cinematic experience of my adulthood life. I'm mad at myself that I waited. I'm mad that I wasn't a part of the conversation when it happened. Now I feel behind, but I am glad that we now get to do this episode talking about it. And for ladies and gentlemen, this will have spoilers in it because we're talking about it.
Yeah, we did our spoiler-free talk last episode. Now that we've both seen it, I want to dive into it a little bit.
Bro, I went there, I started watching, and I was like, I feel like I should take notes. I feel like this is so great. I need to take notes so I can try and relive these memories. Like I want to relive witnessing these moments again over and over and over again. That's how good it is. Like Kayla's mad at me because I went and saw it without her, but I'm like, no, honey, I'll see that again and
Definitely.
again if I have to.
Definitely.
I know that you went and saw it for a second time.
Yeah, I went and saw it in actually like an IMAX theater. And well, technically it's not IMAX, but it's what Malco, which is the theater in Owensboro, it's like their version of IMAX. And man, it was second time I saw it, it was even better the second time. And it was just like we said the last episode, it was like being taken to another planet, being taken into another reality. And it's like you're just so like just fucking like I said, enthralled with this story and this journey that the characters go on. There's just so much going on at once, and there's so many complexities and moving parts, and like, you know, there's so many subplots upon subplots, and it's just a complete and total package. And the transition that Paul Atreides goes through, it's one of the best stories ever told, in my opinion, as far as like
fantastic story arc, character development. Wow.
Yeah. And he goes through so much, from his whole family, his whole house, his whole family being, you know, murdered in cold blood and being betrayed by the emperor, you know, and the House Harkonnen, and being cast out into the desert to die, you know, and he somehow finds his way to these people called the Fremen, and he's able to prove himself. In the first movie, he was able to prove himself in a duel. So like the Fremen are they're very big on ceremony and like tradition and like you know, respecting the ways of the past. And so he's able to prove himself by killing Jamis. That's his name in the book. And you know, at first they're all kind of skeptical about, you know, what Paul and Jessica, you know, they think they're spies. And so they kind of, you know, they have to assimilate into this culture. And so I don't want to give, you know, like I don't want to go too far because we'll be talking for 2.5 hours on this shit. But just the transition that first Lady Jessica goes through as she becomes the Reverend Mother of the Fremen. And then Paul has to learn the ways of the desert, and Chani, which is Zendaya's character, she kind of takes him under her wing and is able to teach him all the ways of the Fremen. And honestly, you know, Paul does a great job of deflecting, because everybody thinks that he's going to come in and be like, "Oh, I'm the leader. You know, you have to listen to me. I'm the chosen one." Yada yada yada. But really, he takes a very humble approach, and is like, "Look, I don't want to be a leader. I just want to fight alongside you. I want to avenge my father's name." And you know, it comes to a point where he's forced. He has all this external pressure to become the Lisan al Gaib, and he does it reluctantly. But once he does go to the South and he takes the water of life and he has the prophetic vision and, all this stuff, he sees all these futures happening. When he comes back, he's such a fucking badass, dude.
Oh my God, bro.
I love the transition that he goes through from yeah, I just want to be a fighter. I don't really want to, lead these people in a holy war to, okay, now I know what I have to do. I have to take control. I have to do what is necessary, even though I know it'll lead to billions of people dying. Like, I have to do this. And man, there's just so many scenes in that movie that give me cold chills just even thinking about it. The part where he learns how to ride the sandworm, the part where he goes in there and he basically lays down the law and he's like, I am the Lisan al Gaib, the voice from the outer worlds. And he says, what does he say? The hand of God be my witness, I will lead you to paradise. And I fucking got full body chills when he said that.
The imagery when he goes to the temple and all of the Fremen are there and he cuts his way through. It's like a sea of people and he's just walking through and everybody's looking at him. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, it's unfathomable how many people he's just making his way through. And like, you can still see in people's faces at that time, like, I don't know if I believe. And then he gets up there, and I know we talked about it before the show, but the other leaders of the Fremen were like, if you want to speak, you gotta kill
Stilgar.
You gotta kill Stilgar. And when he's like, why would I kill one of our best? It's like that makes no sense. And
he says, he says, would you smash a knife before battle?
Yeah.
Like, just dropping knowledge on all these fuckers.
Yeah.
And
he challenges the whole room.
Yeah, he says, no one in this room can stand against me. And they all get up and they're fucking like ready to, fuck him up. And then he starts going into like reading these people's consciousness. And like he tells this guy that he's praying, and he's praying to his grandmother and like tells the story of his grandmother. And then he turns around to another guy and he's like, you give water to the dead and feel joy about it or something.
Yeah.
And they all just stand up and start chanting, Lisan al Gaib, Lisan al Gaib. And he goes, I am Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. And it's just like, man. So it's like some epic shit. And like in that scene, you finally feel the gravity of the situation. Like, this is an absolute total war, escalation. Because, and we haven't even talked about like Fade Routha, which was just
so much.
He's supposed to be Paul Atreides' counterpart in the movie.
Yeah.
So like, technically, really, Paul Atreides isn't even really supposed to be like seen as a good guy, but he is framed as the main character. So you think of him as the good guy. Well, Fade Routha, he's like the polar opposite. He's a narcissistic, psychotic, murderer who will kill anybody that gets in his way. And the scene on Giedi Prime, where it's like they have a black sun, and so like all the like once they go out into the light, it's like all the colors are like thermal. It's like a thermal optic type of look. And so like everybody's skin is completely white, and it's just the imagery of it. Like there's nobody other than Denis Villeneuve that could have pulled that off and made it look put it together so well.
Yeah. It was fantastic at just making you like feel real emotions. Like, I was frightened, I was captured, like I felt like I wanted to stand up and be a part of this war. And once the war happens too, genius like plan, how they set it up, and those last scenes where Lady Jessica's like, the talking to the daughter, because that's part of it too. It's like she's communicating with the unborn daughter in her womb, and she's like, the holy war has begun, and I'm like,
yeah. And you see the warships in the orbit, and they're like all the great houses. And so that final scene, whenever after the war happens, and Paul and the Fremen are able to capture the Emperor, and like they take them as captives and prisoners or whatever, they go to the palace in Arrakeen, which is the northern capital of Arrakis, and which we haven't even talked about Gurney Halleck. You see, he runs into Gurney Halleck. Somehow he survives the battle in the first movie.
That was such an emotional moment for me too.
Yeah.
He's like, I remember your footsteps.
There's so many callbacks, and they did such a beautiful job of connecting the first movie and the second movie, because in that scene, whenever he first meets Gurney Halleck, he says, "I recognize your steps, old man." And if you remember in the first movie, whenever Paul and Gurney have to train together because Duncan Idaho was sent ahead on Arrakis to like scout it out. Well, he says Gurney tells him you should never turn your back to the open or something like that. And he said somebody could sneak up on you. He said, "I recognize your footsteps." That's what Paul tells Gurney. Yeah. And so they make that reference in the second movie. And it's like I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. Yeah. But then I watched it again, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like they're talking.
Genius.
Like, it's just it connects.
Yeah.
And so I know we're kind of talking. It's like going random everywhere, but like there's just so much to cover. But they bring the prisoners out, which is the Emperor and his daughter, and like kind of his envoy or entourage of people, and they have this big showdown. And basically, Paul challenges the Emperor for his daughter's hand in marriage, and basically to become the new Emperor. Okay. And so he tells the Emperor, he says, "Stand or choose your champion." And Feyd-Rautha is like, he's like, "I'm right here, Atreides." And so they get ready to fight. And that last fight scene, man,
dude,
it's totally silent. Everybody, you can tell everybody's like holding their breath because they don't know what's about to happen.
I feel like that was such a great thing too. Like they didn't put any music in. They made it feel like it was like you were right there. Like there wasn't any background music. It was just pure fight.
Like you're in the moment. Like you're standing in the room, hearing like the impact of every fucking punch, every fucking kick, every fucking slice of the blade. Like you're right there in the moment. And you can kind of tell though, because Paul has a smirk on his face because he knows he's gonna win because he's seen it, Yeah. And so they face off, and that the part that really gets me is where he's like, "Nice to finally meet you, cousin." And Feyd-Rautha's like, "Cousin? Well, you wouldn't be the first relative I've killed." And then Paul gets ready, and he's like, "May thy knife chip and shatter." And then Feyd-Rautha's like, "May thy knife chip and shatter." And then they fucking go at it. And it looks like Paul's about to be killed because he actually fucking stabs him in the abdomen.
Yeah.
And then he goes to stab him in like the neck or whatever. And Paul grabs his fucking blade like this. And then all of a sudden you see him go, "What?" And fucking he sticks Feyd-Rautha. And Feyd-Rautha's like, "I can't believe what just happened, And man, so he ends up taking the Emperor's spot. And another thing is whenever he goes to talk to the Emperor right before the fight, and the Bene Gesserit chick, the Reverend Mother, is like, "Think about what you're about to do, Paul Atreides." And he turns and he goes, "Silence!" And he fucking like knocks her back a couple feet. Like that part.
He does the
voice. Yeah, that's another thing. They can use
that's
the
a
voice.
whole other like underlying thing too. Like people, like there's so many subplots. And think about it too. The bloodline is for Feyd-Rautha is intact because he got that one girl pregnant.
Right.
Like it's about to go down in this third movie.
Yeah, the third movie's about to be sick, and they better make one, or I'm gonna be so pissed. That'll be the most disappointing.
There's no way they don't. There's no way.
They have to.
You can't set it up like that.
Right. You can't set it up to be like the most epic fucking movie you've ever seen and just like not tell what happens. because there
I
is a
think they
whole
take
nother
their sweet
book.
time on it. Yeah,
I almost think they make it into 2 parts
they
because
have to. They have to.
there's so much stuff that happens in the second book, which is called Dune Messiah. And there's so much stuff that happens. It's almost impossible unless you're going to make like a 4.5 hour movie, you know.
Sign me up.
Which
I'll take a whole Saturday.
But yeah, and then that part where Lady Jessica turns to the Reverend Mother and she's like, "You should have believed. You picked the wrong side." And she goes, "Oh," she's like, "You above everyone should know that there are no sides." And like that's the whole thing about the Bene Gesserit is like they're the ones who work in the shadows and who like set everything up, set everything in motion. And so like they're searching for this thing called the Kwisatz Haderach, which is like it's supposed to be like this godlike figure that's supposed to unite the empire and lead humanity into the golden age or whatever. But see, what they don't know, what isn't common knowledge, is that the Bene Gesserit have procured severed bloodlines to try to basically it's a breeding program is what it is, and they have procured all these prominent bloodlines to try to find the Kwisatz Haderach. And Paul, he wasn't supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach because he was supposed to die in the desert, but yet somehow he finds a way to survive and everything happens in the second movie. And yeah, it's just you have to watch it for yourself. Like I said, we could go for another 2 hours on this shit and not even scratch the surface. So,
dude, it's so deep.
Definitely.
So deep.
If this sounds like if you like storytelling, just if you like storytelling in general, just pick it up. Either read the book or watch the movies because it is an experience of a lifetime, like you said. And I haven't got the fulfillment. I haven't felt the fulfillment of that since like Infinity War or Endgame.
Literally.
Yeah.
That scene where they're coming over the hill and you can like hear the footsteps of the warriors like slamming into the ground as they're running over the hill to go into the war. I'm like, damn, this takes me back to that moment of like Infinity War when they're coming through the Endgame, coming through the portals and shit.
Yes.
I'm like, man, it's just it was what a fucking movie, bro. Wow.
And the part where they ride the sandworms into the Emperor's army and they all just start like decimated by these fucking giant sandworms.
Dude, man. In the end where he's like holding his ring out, he's got his father's ring on. And I think it also plays back too to his dad telling him like, you may not, like I didn't want to wear this, but there will come a time, and it's like not about wearing it, it's like how will you wear it? And it just plays to the Emperor kissing the ring like this is how I'm gonna wear it.
He doesn't want to at the end, but Paul goes up to him and he like sticks his hand out for him to kiss the ring. And then the Emperor kind of hesitates for a minute, and then Paul like stomps his foot real hard, and the Emperor's like, "Oh fuck, I guess I got to do this." And so he bends down. If you notice, he doesn't even kiss the ring; like he just puts his like a little peck.
Yeah.
But the part where he kills Vladimir Harkonnen, and he says, "Hello, grandfather," because he didn't know, because that's something you don't find out until like later in the movie, is that actually Lady Jessica is Vladimir Harkonnen's daughter,
which is mind blown.
Yeah, which is another fucking twist they throw in there. And so Paul is actually technically both Atreides and Harkonnen, and now he is assimilated into a Fremen, and so like he's this combination of all these great warriors put together. And the part where he goes and Vladimir is like, he's got all of it. They cut his tubes off or whatever, and then they fucking knock him down, and he's on the steps. Paul walks up to him and he's like, "Hello, grandfather." And then he fucking sticks the knife right in his neck, and he goes, "You died like an animal." And it's just like, oh my god, dude.
And the whole room is like frozen in fear as they bust into that building, and you're like, nobody's attacking because they're literally like,
it's futile. Like they're gonna die. They know if they attack, they're gonna die. And Paul even says, "Kill all the Sardaukar," which is like the Emperor's army or whatever. He says, "Kill all of them. Don't leave any of them alive. And then they end up taking them back to the palace or whatever, and the final scene happens. And it ends on such a cliffhanger because he goes up to Channy before that final fight, and he says, "I will love you as long as I breathe." And you can kind of tell she realizes that, like, you can tell in her face that she's like, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And then the Emperor comes in with his daughter Irulan, and he's like, "I'll take the hand of your daughter in marriage." And it's like, oh, so Channing is like very deeply hurt by that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, she runs off into the desert. She calls one of the sandworms and just fucking runs off, and boom, like the credits roll. It's like, damn, what's gonna fucking happen next?
That part too. It's like she just doesn't understand. Like, I know that she still doesn't believe. She just sees him as, Paul. He now is part of the Fremen, but like, she's not understanding what he's trying to do. Like, he says to her, "I love you," but I have to take her hand in order for this thing to move forward. Like, this is the next step. You have to trust that I love you.
And it's almost like in the Avengers where Doctor Strange, he like goes through all the scenarios, and it's like,
there's one way.
Yeah, there's only one way. And there's a scene in after Paul comes to, after taking the water of life or whatever, he says, "I see multiple futures." Yeah, and he like makes that gesture with his hand. And he's like, "There's a path, but it's very narrow."
Yeah.
And so it's like this is the way it has to happen,
Yeah.
And he even says, Channy will come around. I see it. I've seen it. She will come around in the end. But man,
and what a movie, bro.
They do such a great job. Like I said in the last episode, they do such a great job of putting an original twist on a story that is like 60 years old now.
Yeah.
But they keep it faithful to the source material. They don't change it too much to where it's its own thing. They just put another twist on it. And so please, if you have not seen this movie, I implore you, I beg of thee, please watch this movie. If you're any type of movie buff or any type of cinema, cinephile, you will love this movie. Just trust us.
Trust. I had my doubts. I watched the first one. I started believing. I've now seen the second one, and I'm sold. I'm sold.
You're like a converted Fremen, because the Northerners of the Fremen, they don't believe in this prophecy, but at the end of the movie, everybody believes it.
By the end, I was praising the dude. I was like,
I was standing up in the theater. Lisa Nakaib.
I swear to God. They really sell it. Like, you are convinced. Like, there's so much conviction in the storytelling. It's great acting. They picked every person, and they all fit their character so damn well. It is beautiful. That's the word. It's beautiful. It's
beautiful.
Perfect. I wouldn't ask for anything else. Like you said prior to it, it is long, but they don't fucking add any fluff. It's needed. It is desired. Like, it has to happen in order for all of that shit that was in the first 2 hours and 15 minutes is needed for that last 30 minutes to have the value and importance that it does.
And that's something I was going to say is, like, the last 30 minutes of that movie, there's nothing that compares to it. Like, there's nothing that compares to that last 30-minute segment of everything finally coming to fruition throughout, like, all of the first movie and like you said, the first 2 hours, 15 minutes of the second movie. It all has the major payoff at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to see it again. I don't give a fuck. And I didn't say it too. I sent him all of my notes as soon as the movie ended and said, "Holy fuck."
Yeah.
I was like, I have a paragraph of notes from start to finish. It is like one of the okay. We got to cut the talk
off somewhere. Yeah, we got to.
I could keep going, bro. This thing, go watch it, people. I'll probably still be talking about it for weeks because it's very impressive, and I am happy that it exists. I'm happy that they redid this classic, and wow, incredible. Well done. Well done. Let's put a wrap on it. Is there anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
No, I think we're at the perfect ending. Nope. Yeah.
What a masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you follow us. Give us a shout out. Tell everybody you know about us, or I will hunt you down in your sleep like the Fremen. With that said, we love you guys.
Peace.